Hi, I'm Maren. Welcome back to my channel, Maren Makes It. Tonight I was just on a walk and I was just kind of thinking, like I like to do on my walks, and I just had an idea for a video, and so I'm going to make that video right now in the moment as I'm going, which I don't usually do. I just wrote down a couple notes, so I'm going to flip back to those if I need to, but I really realized that it's important to talk about mental health while you're nomadic or while you're traveling. And I feel like there's videos on YouTube that like kind of do this, but I think that whole nomadic lifestyle, kind of like van life, is oftentimes like really glamorized. And you know, just like every lifestyle choice, there's always going to be upsides and downsides. And I think people are quick to jump on the bandwagon of this is traveling, this is exciting, the open road, open possibilities. And like, while this is exciting, it's very different than a more traditional stationary lifestyle. And that will come with challenges, and those challenges can have an impact on your mental health if you don't address them. And I would say you want to, enjoy your traveling as much as you possibly can. And so it's important to take care of your mental health as you sort of go along through that whole process. And so basically what I did was I traveled for half a year in the end of 2021, and then in 2022 I've been house sitting, so I basically move every month, so it's a little bit less frequent moving than I was doing during 2021, but it's still quite a lot of uncertainty going into other people's homes, taking care of other people's pets. Some months you have this pet, some months you have that pet, you're in a different neighborhood every month. And so there's still quite a lot of uncertainty and moving around in my life right now, even though it's a little bit more stationary. So the first thing in terms of mental health that's really important is your social support network. So what does that look like for you while you're traveling? And I'm not talking about, traveling like I'm going on vacation, you guys. I'm talking about traveling like you're doing this for a long time, you're moving into a van, you're planning to do a nomadic lifestyle where you still have to work and have real person responsibilities as you're moving around, because that's very different than when we go on vacation and we take weeks off of, or days or whatever you have available to you, away from your normal adulting responsibilities. So what does that look like for you guys? I can tell you what it was for me. So sometimes I would stay with family or friends, and obviously that was social support, but it was also very important for me to have more consistency with people than just that. So I have probably, 5 or 6 friends that I could call at any hour of the night, scattered throughout the US in multiple different time zones, that I could talk to about pretty much anything. And I feel really lucky to have that, but I also know that it's been a lot of work to build those relationships, frankly, and keep up with those people when we're not all living in the same place all the time. Some of these people I haven't seen in over a year, which is sad, but we have managed to stay in touch to the point where, I can ask them what their cat's going to be for Halloween. So I think that's pretty cool that, we're not just catching up on the big things when we do talk. We stay in touch enough that we can be that kind of a social support network for each other. It's not like we're just catching up on stuff when we talk on the phone. So that's really important, because the people physically around you might change out a lot, and sometimes you're with a lot of people, and sometimes you may be with nobody at all for a period of time. But that way you feel like you still have these consistent relationships in your life, and people who kind of know what's going on with you, that check in with you, and that care about you, because loneliness can definitely also be a challenge when you are doing a lot of things by yourself, and especially doing a lot of untraditional things by yourself. Okay, I'm gonna walk a little bit slower because I'm out of breath here, which is because I'm at 7,000 feet right now, and I'm walking and I'm talking about something I'm passionate about, so I'm talking a lot, and I'm also at the end of a walk. So that's when all my good ideas come, though, so that's why I gotta record it now. So my second point kind of goes along with that whole social support network, but I would consider having remote therapy. So there's a lot of websites you can go through. Like, that's an upside of kind of everything that happened in 2020, is a lot of these services are now way more available online than they've ever been. Your person that you talk to might already be in a different state than you, and then why not take them on the road with you? And for me, having like a weekly appointment to talk to somebody who's not my friends or family members, who I just know kind of keeps me accountable and checks in with me, is very helpful, especially as everything else is changing so much around me. So having that support is, I think, really helpful. Also, you might have a lot of experiences that might kind of have you questioning other decisions that you've made as you travel, because you're having a lot of new life experiences, you're meeting a lot of new people, and this gives you kind of a space to kind of talk through those things. So even if you're not somebody who would say that they struggle with their mental health, this is just kind of a good space to process you know, the adventures that you're having and, you know, what that might mean for your life after you're nomadic, or if you want to stay nomadic, what's kind of going on there. The next thing I would suggest to you guys is to plan in days for rest. So just plan some days where you're gonna veg and do nothing, especially if you're juggling working while kind of adventuring. That's a lot for your brain. You know, planning those adventures takes energy too. It's not just you, you know, showing up and being like, I'm here, let's do something fun. It's like you have to do the research to figure out what those fun things are. And if you're also working, I'm assuming that you're working something remote and probably online, which is probably something that requires at least some of your cognitive. Sorry, I'm just getting the mail here. Which I'm assuming if you're working something remote that you're able to travel with, you're probably doing something online, which probably at least requires some of your cognitive abilities. In my case, during most of the time I was traveling, I was doing health coaching for people. So I was counseling people in health and nutrition, and that was oftentimes both mentally and kind of emotionally taxing, even though it was really rewarding work. But I really did need those times to just sort of like veg out in front of the TV and really let myself space out, where I wasn't doing you know, anything that was like overly stimulating. And also along with that, like not just planning in days maybe to rest, but also just getting enough rest as it is, because sleep is such an important foundation for everything that we do mentally and physically. My fourth suggestion is to journal, especially if you're not doing therapy. This is a really good way to kind of process through what's happening. It's also a great way to record your adventures and sort of record any thoughts you're having as you go along. I honestly wish this was something I did more of, or made the time to do more of, but I think getting your thoughts out on paper really helps to get them out of our head too. There's a quote, and I don't know who said this anymore, but it's your brain is meant to have ideas, not to hold them. Basically, like, you're meant to have ideas, but you're not meant to think about everything at once that you need to do. And so just getting it out on paper, whether that's more of like a bulleted format or more complete sentences, or even just making voice memos to yourself, which I've also done, is a really helpful way to kind of process through things and not forget things. Both things that you maybe have to do, but also all the fun adventures that you're having. All right, guys, so I'm back inside for my walk. I figured it was getting kind of dark out there, so I might as well just go inside, finish filming this. I think Carlotta is happy to see me too. She's gonna help us out for the rest of the video, although maybe we'll see how much of a help she actually is. My fifth tip would be to have some kind of routines that you keep with yourself. So when everything else is changing around you in the external environment a lot, it can be kind of hard to have any kind of, you know, mental health or physical health, even routines. And so trying to come up with something small, or small things that you can do no matter where you are, whether you're camping, whether you're Airbnb-ing, sleeping on somebody's couch, regardless of the situation, I think can be really helpful to kind of ground you and, you know, give you a little bit more structure and a little bit more habits around your mental health. So for example, one thing that I like to do is I have this app on my phone. This is not sponsored, wish it was, but it's called the Gratitude 365 app. They give me a little journal prompt and a quote every morning, and then they ask me to write down 3 things I'm thankful for. You can also write more than that, but I usually just do that. And just doing that helps me kind of set the tone for the day and puts me in a little bit more of a positive state of mind, regardless of the situation that I'm waking up to. So just trying to have a couple of those little things that you do with yourself. They don't have to take very long. It doesn't have to be like exercising an hour every day or something. Well, that might feel good, but you know, maybe it's unrealistic, but just kind of having some things that you do no matter what, that are just kind of for yourself and not for anybody else, I think can be really important when you're trying to balance traveling and working and still, you know, enjoying everything as you go. And so that would be my suggestion to you guys. And I do also notice that when I've missed a couple days or a week of this app, it does start to take a toll on me, and I'm kind of reminded of why I had that routine in the first place. That's, you know, that's something that I think people work on in more, I guess the opposite of nomadic is stationary, right? Like stationary lifestyle, or I don't know, is that a term? Do people say that? But okay, let's just say it's stationary lifestyle. So when you have a stationary lifestyle, people work on having healthy routines and healthy habits. And there's a reason they do that. It's because it's easier to do things when it's a habit and when it's part of your routine. And so those healthy things that you want to do every day, whether it's like taking vitamins or doing the gratitude app or stretching or something like that, I think it's great to find things that you can do regardless of where you are physically, so that you can still have those kind of healthy habits with yourself. I think it's also important to remember that the nomadic lifestyle is not the normal, like compared to everything that our society has sort of shown or dictated to us, which there's nothing wrong with doing something different than what other people are doing. I think that's actually awesome. I mean, obviously I've done it. So I think it's important to, if that's something you want to do and something you want to try, like I'm 100% saying go for it, but just know that unknown situations and new situations will bring up discomfort because you're going out of your comfort zone. It's like the reason that we call it your comfort zone is because that's status quo. That's the things you're familiar with. And so if you have an apartment or you have a stationary living situation, that is your status quo. That's your home base. And when you go into a nomadic lifestyle, it's kind of like, your home base is constantly shifting. Even if you have a van, like maybe that's like your mini home base, but more stuff around you is changing more quickly than in your normal life. And that's bound to bring up, different emotions and different feelings and definitely discomfort because you've stepped outside of the comfort zone and now you're in discomfort. And I think oftentimes like stepping into discomfort, those things that we end up doing there are the things that could be, the most worthwhile or the most special or the things that make us the most proud. Like if you ever think about having a job interview, like probably that was not very comfortable for you. Like, I don't really know many people who are like, yeah, I just love job interviews. I'm just so comfortable when I go into those. I don't really know people like that. I don't know if you guys do, but I'm not really like that. And so just anytime you're doing something that's new or that's different, it's going to feel uncomfortable. So just remember that when those feelings come up and you are on this sort of nomadic journey of yours. That being said, obviously it can lead to some of the coolest stories and the most wild memories, but it's really important to take care of your mental health along the way because otherwise you won't even be able to enjoy it. And then what's the point? If you're a nervous wreck and you've, being overwhelmed by your emotions and not really processing things as you go and not really taking care of yourself physically or mentally, it's not going to be very fun to go on adventures. I do think this is a really important topic because like I said before, I think this is a lifestyle that's really glamorized on the internet, which I think is also kind of ironic because, in the past, somebody living out of their car would be considered homeless. And so I think it's kind of weird how we like turn a lifestyle that some people have been forced into something that other people choose to do. Anyways, that's really all I have to say on kind of mental health and nomadic lifestyle for now. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, YouTube!